All right, welcome back to the Run.down post-game show over here on the Strickland YouTube channel. And if you're listening to this today after Strickland Podcast Network, Knicks win 119-113 over the Pacers in what should have been a rout, but you know how the Knicks get at MSG. Can't hold the lead to save their lives. But yeah, I mean, RJ Barrett returned. Shout out to him. He played a really great game, I think. In someone that hasn't played in 6 games, and like the expectation was rust, and he came out and put up 27, 8, and 4 on 9 of 23. I think the shooting numbers don't really tell the whole story of his game today. I saw a lot of things that I liked from him, and we'll get into that as we go on. Jalen Brunson once again, Captain Clutch, 34 points, just hitting timely baskets when we need them most. But yeah, Grimes, 18 points. I thought he hit some really big baskets in the fourth quarter after not playing at all. Um, and yeah, I guess we can just like get into the game. Um, Tyrese Halliburton did not put a revenge game on us as we predicted. I guess Wally Zerbiak was really in his head. Only at 15, 3, and 7. So,
Get him sad.
To emphasize how much Wally was in he did a press tour. He did a press tour for this game. He was on the Woj pod. He had the whole interview with
Taylor Rooks.
Taylor Rooks. Mans was doing a press tour for this game specifically because he thought this was going to be his breakout game, and he did nothing but pass the ball. He did nothing. He did nothing that game to make you assume that somehow what Wally said was false. Like, I do not care about Tyrese Halliburton, and this is coming from a place of hate, pure hatred. I don't care. He looked pedestrian. He looked scared.
Why not? Well, I think that's a credit to our defense on him and with Grimes more specifically. I mean, shout out to Grimes. I shouted out his offense and his big plays down the stretch, but I think his defense was also pretty good on Tyrese Halliburton, as it was in their first matchup versus the Pacers. So that's something to be encouraged by Grimes. Continue to see how like it should encourage Knicks fans to not put a ceiling on him and not limit what he can do, because we see what Grimes is able to do night in, night out. I mean, the numbers are there too. I mean, when you look and see I think there's like this stat that like points out like matchup like difficulty, and like Grimes usually has like the most he often has the most difficult matchups compared to his peers in the NBA. And he's also excelling at it too. So that's just something to be further encouraged by Grimes, and shout out to him for stifling Tyrese Halliburton and not letting him drop 40 on us in the Garden in a comeback effort. So
it's also insanely easy to stifle Halliburton when he doesn't want to drive or do anything that involves him getting contact, and he just wants to mix it up with the perimeter and then miss step back threes. What a fraud, dude, man! Like, anybody who really genuinely thinks that Brunson is a worse player than Tyrese Halliburton needs to get their eyeballs checked and stop watching box scores. God, Sudowoodo is not top 20, whatever the Ringer list want to tell you. This is just my Halliburton soliloquy. I need to get this off my chest because I have not liked him since the draft process, and every time we beat him, I feel vindicated. Now we can continue with the show.
I thought Grimes did a really good job on him. I'm not quite as down on Halliburton as Tyrese is in general.
Loser!
I thought Grimes was excellent on him. I feel like the theme of this show, and something that was really really highlighted at the end of this game, is how tough a decision Thibodeau is going to have to make every night, deciding between he has to choose every night two of RJ, Grimes, and Quickly. And I mean, before Grimes came back in, neither him or Quickly was really having a great game. They were like 3 for 9 and 4 for 9 before Grimes hit those 2 late shots. And we'll get more into it. I'm sure there will be some comments about it, but the problem for me isn't the decision Thibodeau made. I mean, I get people who wanted to see Grimes. I'm of course always going to be fine with that. Grimes is a really good basketball player. But I do think Thibodeau likes Quickly's like secondary creation. I think he like when the play breaks down at the end of the game, he trusts Quickly to make something out of nothing more than he trusts Grimes if they blitz Brunson or something. And we saw that a few times. He created, a layup for himself over Goga, and he created multiple threes for teammates. But if you go back and look at about the 6-minute mark, which is probably Grimes played the whole third quarter, so that's probably when he would re-enter the game. If he was going to re-enter the game around the 6-minute mark, if he had re-entered for Quickly, Grimes would have played 35 minutes and Quickly would have played 19 minutes. And then nobody else off the bench would have played more than 9 minutes. There aren't injury excuses anymore. This is our rotation the rest of the season. And if Thibodeau thinks that he's going to play Mitch, Randall, Brunson, RJ 39 minutes a night every game, this isn't sustainable. You have to shorten shifts, you have to rotate, and you have to mix and match players. That is the only path forward. And yeah, I don't want to rant about it too long. I just wanted to get that part of it off my chest because there are multiple rotation issues that I had, but it's just if Quickly had been mixed and matched better and played more minutes with other people and the minutes were more balanced, it would have been an easier decision to make. Instead, it was okay. Well, I like Quickly. Am I going to play him the last 16 minutes of this game, or am I going to go back to Grimes? And it can't just be that decision every night. You have to be willing to experiment with lineup combinations more. And I feel like that really hurt us tonight. I think the guys got tired down the stretch, and this is just the beginning. We've got 40 more of these games. So yeah, that's what I have to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, you saw down the stretch, guys, like shots were short. Shots were like really short at times. The defensive effort wasn't always there in that fourth quarter. Like guys were just gassed. And that's what happens when you run guys into the ground. I mean, you see RJ on his first game back playing 40 minutes. There's no need for that, and there's no absolute like reason for that at all. Like we have the players that are there that can, subsidize that, that can minimize that. I mean, he had a great game, but I think part of why his shooting numbers look the way he did is because, later in the game, shots aren't falling because, not only is he just getting back to being acclimated onto the court, but like he's playing almost like 42 minutes in his first game back. It's ridiculous.
I could be wrong, but wasn't he at one point like 7 for 11? He was really
efficient.
He was 6 of 12 and then finished 3 of 11.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay. Still, you can miss me with any RJ criticism for the reasons Sam just said. Like, dude hasn't played an NBA game in two or 3 weeks, and now he's just supposed to hop back out there and play 41 minutes. Like, and to me, it's not even about the overall minutes total. It's just the lack of creativity with how you dole out those minutes, because you just have to. You can't just play your starters the first 9 minutes of the first and third quarter. There's no path forward with that. You're already dug in the hole. You have to just get guys in quicker. You have to shorten shifts. It's how you get more people's feet into the game. Like, watch any other basketball game. Watch teams that are way better than the Knicks are and don't even have as much depth as the Knicks do. I know that Deuce wasn't good tonight, but like, there's no reason Obi's playing 9 minutes tonight. That's the other problem I had. The other team didn't have a center tonight. Hartenstein has been terrible recently. Get Obi in with Randall. It's not hard. Like, they're not going to kill you. I promise you. They're not going to kill you. If you're not willing to put Obi in with Randall for the last few minutes of the first or the third quarter against Isaiah Jackson, trade him right now. Like, just trade him. The front office has to be aware of that. They have to just be like, we're never getting return on this guy's value ever. Get him, like, get somebody else who he can play with Randall, because this is pointless.
Yeah.
I think the front office knows that at this point. I don't think they're going to trade him in mid-season because you don't want to win clouds mid-season. But I do think that, like, I don't think he could win the team starting next season. I feel very confident in saying that. And not because I have sources or anything like that. I'm not Schwinn, but I just feel confident in saying that, like, yeah, they're probably going to find a deal because, like, they have the 2 picks. They have the MLE if need be. They have a bunch of expiring salary. Like, they're going to find somebody who could just give you 15 minutes a night behind Randall and can potentially play with Randall as well. So.
Yeah. Oh well. I mean, let's get into this game because we didn't really talk about like why we are in the mood that we are in despite a win. What were the Knicks up by? What, 25 at one point in this
25.
game?
25.
So if you were living under a rock and weren't tuned into this game, Knicks were up by 25 at one point in this game. As you can see by the final score, that did not last quite long. I tweeted in the second quarter that I am nowhere near comfortable with this game, like not even close. And lo and behold, end of the third quarter happens, and not even end of the third quarter, like midway through the third quarter, you start seeing like the team just like the offense falls flat, like defensively they're not there. The lead starts crumbling down to like I want to say like 14-ish. It's in that 14-12-ish range for like the latter part of that third quarter. Second quarter not second quarter. Fourth quarter comes. TJ McConnell just like starts like going crazy or whatever. And then Buddy Hield starts hitting shots, and then it's just like, oh, now we're in a game now. Like we're in a legit game. And I mean, what are your guys' thoughts on that? Like, cough my lungs out.
Tom Thibodeau needs to be investigated for crimes against basketball. I just, like, there's no way this team can build up 20-point leads ad nauseum, and we're playing crunch time minutes against the Pacers' second stringers without their 2 best players. At some point, like, you have to acknowledge that this is a coaching issue. It's coaching malpractice. We saw it last year with that stretch. We saw it 2 days ago, and the only reason why this team didn't lose is because we're not playing the championship level Bucks. They were down. They were up 2 at one point. And I get it was a wire-to-wire win, but like they should not have been up 2 against TJ McConnell, Ben Mathurin, Buddy Hield, and 2 guys on the court whose names I don't remember off the top of my head right now. That should have never happened.
Goga Batazde.
Sure, whatever.
It was Goga, Isaiah Jackson, Mathurin, TJ McConnell, and Duarte, and then Buddy, and Buddy.
Yeah. And granted, TJ McConnell is like the GOAT Nick killer, and absolutely deserves a spot in the Hall of Fame just off his Nick accolades alone. But like, come on, man! Like, you cannot. I don't know what happened because like they were just missing shots, and then like they just got back out poorly, and they just. Like, this cannot keep happening, especially at home. Like, at home, you're supposed to be a very consistent team. You're supposed to be comfortable. And somehow, some way, even though the lead was 20 throughout the through most of the third quarter, they just started chipping away slowly, and it just kind of felt like you knew it was going to happen. I don't know, man. I'm just.
Yeah, at a certain point, it's not random. Like, yeah, Buddy Hield hit that ridiculous 4-point play. But okay, like that's 4 points. There was a 25-point lead. And you have to start trying to contextualize what is happening here. Because bad teams don't consistently build 20-point leads. The Knicks are clearly a good team. But the next step is maintaining those leads, or just if you're going to lose a little bit, giving a little bit back, not giving all of it back. And so you have to just start trying to figure out what the source of the issue is. And you see, from a process standpoint, the game starts moving slower and they look tired. Like and that's going to happen if every night, like Tibbs, the best thing about Tibbs is also the worst thing about Tibbs. And that's that he wants you to die for every possession the way he dies for every possession. And that's how he gets maximum effort but like it's also how you get third quarter stretches where guys just don't have it anymore. If you want every possession to be maximized and you want guys to give max effort as much as they can, then the only path forward is shortening shifts. That's the only way you can do it. Teams don't substitute like this anymore. Like it's like Tibbs thinks it's still 2010 when LeBron was playing the whole first quarter. Like look at how smart teams go. Look at Giannis's shift. Giannis is one of the first subs out of the game for the Bucks every night. He comes out of the 6-minute mark he didn't against the Knicks because every team treats the Knicks like it's the NBA Finals. But for the most part, Giannis is coming out in the middle of the first, and then he starts the second and fourth quarter. And then he comes out again, and then he comes back in. Giannis plays 3 short shifts every half. That is his standard rotation. And that is how Budenholzer maximizes Giannis, because he knows Giannis for 6 minutes at a time, 3 times, is better than Giannis for 9 minutes at a time, 2 times. And that's going to be the same for every player. So you got to start getting these guys more efficient in their shifts, or else the games are going to keep looking like this.
Oh, man. It's just the same situation, the same song and dance, the same discussion over and over again. And he's able to get away with it because the team is good enough to where, like, they're going to win games in spite of his mistakes. Like, I understand best coach since Michael Woodson. I understand, he's done a lot for the franchise. The team is winning. Like, bars in hell, of course. Like, don't
underestimate Mike Miller, guys. That guy got peak Frank. 20 and 10 out of Frank. If you can get 20 and 10 out of Frank, you're a good coach.
True. But, like, at some point, man, like, we got to understand the fact that, like, even though he's great, the J in his name doesn't stand for Jesus, because, like, we can move on. I promise we can move on. Like, if they can move on from Dwayne Casey and Mark Jackson and Doc Rivers has been fired and passed around a bunch, and all of these coaches who were good, like, were moved around at some point and moved on from, you can move on from Tom Thibodeau. I guarantee you can move on from Tom Thibodeau, and you can get somebody who's willing to try more, who's willing to experiment more, who's willing to run more lineups with different strengths and weaknesses. And it just feels like we're doing the same song and dance over and over again. And I cannot understand why 3 years in, we haven't changed the formula.
Yeah. And if I'm sorry, Sam, you go.
No, go ahead. I'm probably going to start coughing.
I was just going to say, like, what we saw tonight is what we're going to see going forward. There's until something happens, until, like, somebody inevitably gets injured, which somebody will. Like, somebody's going to get injured. That's going to happen. It sucks, but it's just the nature of the league. And we will be unprepared for that moment because not enough guys play together. Like, Deuce was rough tonight. Deuce was he got beat defensively by McConnell multiple times in really short minutes. He had a top of the key 3 that he passed on and then dribbled. That's what got him pulled eventually. Is Tibbs was furious after that, which rightfully so. You're on the court, shoot the freaking ball. But he's in the rotation. Like, either you trust him to play or you don't. You can't just trust 6 guys. That's crazy. And, like, at the end of the day, it appears that Tibbs really only trusts 6 guys right now. Yeah. And there's no path forward to that. And, like, some people will say, like, oh, well, I guess this is when we make a trade. But, like, I don't know. What does Malik Beasley do for this franchise going forward? Like, that's not Malik Beasley shade. He's a good player. But I just mean, like, there's a path forward that is actually reasonable with this rotation, just getting more out of this rotation. And Tyrese said the last game, like, it feels like there's meat on the bone here that we're just going to keep leaving unchewed. Like, we're not coming close to maximizing this.
Like, it's like those wings that you see where, like, people were just, like, eating the middle part of the wings.
Oh my God.
And they got, like, 40% of the meat left over. That's what it feels like this team. Where it's like, you ate the wing. Like, you achieved the purpose. But,
took a nibble.
Like, you could have, like, fit in there, not on the bone and stuff. And it's just like
I hate those wings.
this is what the 2023 Knicks feel like. We just leaving meat on the wing and we ain't knowing on the bone. That's what it is.
Because like one thing about like these games where we blow in leads, these are opportunities where we can like buy time for players to like actually rest in game. Like you put this team away going up like 30-35 in the midway through the third quarter. That buys your guys at least, your starters at least 15 16 game minutes, which is like 20 to 25 to 30 actual minutes.
They should have played the fourth quarter tonight. They should not have played the fourth quarter tonight.
Yeah, no starter should have been in the game in the fourth quarter. We should have been seeing Svi and Ryan Arcidiacono on the court today.
I should have seen a Svi poster tonight, and we should have been tweeting about like how the Pacers suck, and I'm the Hawks suck because the Hawks suck. But like, we should have been kicking back, feet up, and instead I'm sweating the game out. Like,
yeah, it's insane.
But Tibbs also like creates a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like he wants to only trust his starters. He wants to build a foundation where like he rides his starters, and you see it with Quickly. Like I tweeted about it before the game. Everyone's always so shocked that like Quickly hops in the starting lineup and all of a sudden like he shot 50% from 3 over the last 8 games as a starter. I know that's not like the biggest sample size, but like we all have eyeballs. We watch him out there. He looks more comfortable, obviously, because when you play more and you play more consistently, anyone who's played basketball will tell you you get a flow and a feel for the game. When guys like Deuce and guys like Obi, who've played basketball their whole lives, play 4 minutes in the first half and then sit down for 35 minutes, it's insane to just toss them back out there and be like, oh yeah, good luck. Like go do your best.
Go
like,
gain some rhythm.
Yeah, exactly. Like I know they're professional basketball players and they're supposed to, but you're already starting them at a disadvantage. Whereas if they got a couple of short shifts in the half, I'm not asking Obi to play 15 minutes a half, but if you played him a couple of 4-minute shifts in a half, all of a sudden you let him get multiple chances to get his feet into the game, get his hands on the ball, shoot, that's how you establish rhythm. That's how you get the whole team going, because it's not going to be just these 6 guys staying healthy, playing 40. Like it never works that way. And it's just, even if that was possible, even if that did happen, it's not like good for the franchise long-term because we know this team isn't winning a championship this year. So like, what are you building towards? What are we trying to do as a group here?
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know what we're doing as a group. And it kind of feels like they're going to make a trade because they kind of need to count. Like, I feel like this front office is going to make a trade, and I'm not saying they shouldn't make a trade, but like they're going to make a trade to counteract the fact that like Tom Thibodeau is basically nuking a lot of lineups. And we already saw like some trade rumors come out today between like Gary Trent, Malik Beasley. So like you can see the type of player that they're looking for clearly, which is like shooter. And Gary Trent probably the more luxury version of it, and Malik Beasley is probably more of like the flyer guy. But like you can tell like this front office is looking for another piece because they feel like they need another piece. But I don't really think they need another piece as much as they just need somebody who can like coach the team better and stagger more lineups and get more guys at a flow. But I don't
know. All right. So before we get into everybody's favorite part of the show,
Sam, can I say one more thing? I'm sorry, before you hop in. Before Grimes checked back in at the end of the game, Quickly and Grimes, despite being 2 of the 6 guys who had played basically the majority of the game, had shared the court for 7 minutes together. Like, I know Quickly's not starting, so, it's hard but we saw that pay off down the stretch, like how good a chemistry they have. This is the type of chemistry that bench guys and starters can build together if they're just allowed to play these moments together. That's the kind of thing you want to be building. Like, you're not trying to just establish a foundation of one thing anymore. That was 2 years ago. That was when the franchise was in the gutter. The franchise isn't in the gutter anymore. We have good talent. We have good young players. We need to be mixing and matching. The goal now is trying to raise the ceiling and trying to figure out what is the best version of this team. It's not, I know the best version. We're just going to do one thing and ram it into the ground. That is just, it's just killing this team. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just added their minutes. Crazy.
No, it's all good. So yeah, I just want to go through each starter and like at least point out at least one positive thing from their game today. Um, so like Brunson, I mean, what more can you say about Brunson? I think it's really obvious at this point. Like usually this January stretch is where like players usually make their mark in terms of the all-star campaigning. And I think he's making a pretty strong impression. I mean, since he's come back from injury, he's dropped like what 32 plus in each game.
Yeah, he's
So
basically
like
been like I think he's averaging like 32 and whatever. I can find the stats real quick, but like yeah, he's going crazy.
yeah, I think he's pretty solidified himself as one of the East guards. At
I
least
don't think I don't think so. The thing is, I think he's getting snubbed
I think
because
I think this stretch is going to solidify that. I think he's getting a lot of attention for media people. Um, and like coaches are game planning against him every night, and he's still cooking them. So like they're responsible for the reserves. I think they're going to show him that respect.
And he'll get the reason Nash won MVP his first year in Phoenix was like the new team boost. Like the Knicks missed the playoffs last year. And then combine that with the fact that I think Randall will be held down for basically the opposite reason. Like people are still a little bit hesitant to believe Randall's for real because last year was so bad and the playoffs were so bad. And like if you just looked at the advanced stats, I think Randall would be an easy pick over Brunson. Like all the numbers like Randall over Brunson. But for everything Sam said, I think that the fact that the coaches control it and that the Knicks are going to be not even like they're probably going to be a top 6 seed or they could be. They have a chance to be a top 6 seed at the All-Star break. I think Brunson's going to get that credit and get that boost.
I can see it. I can see. I think they're gonna get at least one, which is good because the Knicks deserve an All-Star. I think there's a strange reality where they might get two, because like the East front court sucks. Like who is in the East front court? That's the thing. Like it's Giannis, KD, Tatum, Embiid. Siakam, you're probably gonna have to put in there at some point, and then afterwards you have like basically 2 spots, and nobody has an argument over like maybe Jimmy Butler. Like that's kind of it.
or Bam.
I
He's
think
been on a good stretch recently.
Butler definitely gets in. Coaches love that guy.
Yes, I can see it basically being like Butler and then Randall, and then like, but for the guards, I think the guards are too tight. Cause like you have maybe Garland's like slipping out of it, but like of course Halliburton's going to be in. Harden is on the bubble. You have Jaylen Brown as well. So like, yeah, I don't know. Like I just kind of think it's too hard for the guards are too stacked, but I feel like he's probably the first alternate. I think if somebody gets hurt, he's the first alternate, like easily.
Yeah, there's always the injury reserve thing too. All right, let's get into everybody's favorite part of the show before we get too deep into the NFL. God damn. The NFL playoff picture is locked in, and my go-to place for wild card round action is DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. To kick off the road to Super Bowl 57, new customers can bet just $5 and get 200 in free bets instantly. Plus, all new and existing customers can get a no sweat bet each day of the wild card round this weekend. Just place any NFL bet of your choice, and if it loses, you'll get a free bet back up to $10. Action so good, why bet NFL playoffs anywhere else? Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code TBPN. New customers can bet $5 on the NFL and get 200 in free bets instantly. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code TBPN. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. All right, so I guess as we one thing I do want to point out that surprisingly none of us has mentioned, Mitch tonight with defensively. I mean, looking at his stocks numbers, 5 steals, 2 blocks. I mean, was just insane tonight in the passing lanes. Tyrese, you're muted.
My bad. He was incredible. That was arguably the best defensive game of the season for Mitch, I want to say, because like he was just the Pacers could not get anything done against him. Like every bucket the Pacers got on the paint was like hard fought, and some of them were questionable touch fouls at best, if you want to call it that. Like I remember one against Mathurin where like he's basically swatted it, and then he called the fouling late. But yeah, like Mitchell Robinson once again proving how vital he is to this team's performance. Again, Mitchell Robinson over on assists, cashing, free money. But yeah, 5 steals, 2 blocks. He's almost averaging a steal and 2 blocks per game. So a 3-stock big who's going to lead the league on offensive rebounds one day. Like, what do you do against a player like that? And his contract is descending. Good time. And he also made 4 straight free throws today before he missed the last 2. So everything's coming up Millhouse.
And we need to – I feel like we almost, as an organization, don't fully appreciate how unique what he's doing is, because for 3 years now, Thibodeau has just been like, okay, let's just have a backup big who can sort of replicate what Mitch does. And it's like, no, nobody can replicate what he does. That's the whole point. Like, that's why he's so good. And the answer isn't to just play this guy who's been fragile his whole NBA career, basically 38 minutes against a team who doesn't have a true center. Like, I get Mitch is super valuable, and that's what I'm saying, but play him 32 minutes and give Obi the backup center minutes and let Obi go against a small team. Like, I don't understand. Double Obi's minutes, that's not a bad thing. They're not going to kill you in those minutes. And it's just, I'm sorry, but you just don't need to play Hartenstein right now, especially against a team like this, and you don't need to play Mitch 40 minutes. He's so good that you're not going to get anything close to what he's giving you from anybody else. It's just, it's not going to happen.
Shout out to Tibbs for finally giving Hartenstein a quick hook. Like,
I honestly think he gave him a quick hook simply because Mitch Robinson didn't have any like fouls. Like that's really it.
Yeah, I think so too. But you know, I'm gonna pretend that, you know, for once that he like did the right thing.
To me, if you want to give Tibbs roses, it's for his decision to go Randall at the 5 down the stretch.
Yeah, and that was actually I was like, why? That was actually surprisingly very smart from him.
He probably should have gone into it sooner, to be honest, too.
Yeah, but like the fact that he went to it at all, like beggars can't be choosers here, you know. Like, I mean, it shouldn't always, and that's the thing is like Mitch is really good, but he's also the most exploitable player of our 6 best players. Like, he can be game planned out of a game by just going 5 out and basically ignoring him on offense. Like, he'll find ways to make you pay. I'm not saying he's useless, but I am saying that smart teams are going to figure out how to take away all the really good things he does. And when that happens, Thibodeau has to be willing to go to his 5 best players at that moment. And the fact that he showed that he was willing to tonight, like, that gives you some hope, man. Like, when the Celtics go to a Horford, Tatum, Brown, Smart, Brogdon lineup, and, you know, Horford is just doing that old man YMCA thing, bringing Mitch out into the perimeter. Like, Thibodeau needs to say, okay, Randall can play the 5. Randall can guard Horford, and we can go with our 5 best guys, and we can do our best here. Like, and if you want to be hopeful about one thing tonight, it's that Thibodeau went to that, in my opinion.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into some comments because we got a damn lot of comments to get into. So let's get into them. Chris Bernhardt says it's obvious RJ had noodle legs in the late 3rd, 4th and needed to sit, but Thibs keeps him out there because you can't mess with rotations that are foolproof down the stretch. Also, Halliburton equals fake all-star. That one's for you, Wally Zerbiak.
Preach it.
Let's see what other comments we got. Brian Benjamin says gonna run Brunson to the ground just like D Rose. Yeah, I mean, there's got to be a way we can dispel his minutes where like he is not playing like that many, but like, man, it feels like this team just like crumbles sometimes. Like certain games, it feels like they just crumble when he's not on the court.
Which they shouldn't be because Emmanuel quickly gives you a lot of creation value himself.
But is Thibs going to enable him to do that in those moments? That's the thing.
Exactly.
But on like a night like tonight, when Brunson has it going, which he did, obviously from the start, RJ had it going, and Randall didn't. Like I thought for the second straight game, Randall kind of played bad, but also like in an admirable way. I don't know. Maybe I'm being nicer because we're not losing, but I just thought that Randall did a lot of good things in big moments. But
The block was huge.
Yeah, the block was huge. He hit a huge three. He hit that end of shot clock bank shot to stop the bleeding. There were just a couple of moments that felt big, and Randall was kind of in the middle of a lot of them. But when that's happening, you have to be willing to adjust to the information in front of you. And like, I hate just bringing it back to Tibbs, but there's a world where we start the second quarter with Randall with the bench. Like it doesn't always have to be quickly RJ in the bench. It can be, oh, Randall doesn't have it going right now. Let's get Obi in there quicker, and let's mix some things up. Like, man, if you look at the Knicks lineup data, no team has a more absurd, like their top two lineups get all their minutes, and that's it. There's no discrepancy. There's no versatility at all. It's just he just rams these lineups into the ground, and it's just not good.
Yeah. Hawkeye for 20 says, though, however, I can't even blame Thibs that much. These dudes had piss running down their shorts once the Pacers adjusted. Halliburton dipped, and New York Knicks fumbled the lead versus a trap defense.
True. Like, the thing is, like, I still can blame Tibbs, but I also realize that, like, there partly is because Tibbs is coaching this way, but it also kind of feels like they themselves are just, like, succumbing to the pressure. And luckily, Grimes hit that three that put the game away, but, like, the foul on Buddy Hield, like, the Brunson turnover that Goga, like, slipped out of bounds with, like, the turnover from TJ McConnell at half court when they're trying to inbound the ball. Like, that's not coaching. That's just like a lot of mental mistakes that shouldn't be happening down the stretch of games, especially against the Pacers playing their second stringers. So, not fun to see, but I think they are also like cognizant, like they need to clean some things up. So I hope they're able to do it, but I also do not trust this coach. So
I'll say it, like Brunson is the guy whose hands I want the ball in, like when we need a basket down the stretch. I think Quickly is our most trusted, like he's not gonna turn it over guy. Like he now has the lowest turnover percentage on the team. And like he definitely seems the calmest and most collected in these moments when everything around him is scrambling and he just sort of like keeps his head in the game. Like I definitely think that Quickly that's a big reason why Tibbs likes Quickly out there.
I do like the idea though that like like down the stretch a lineup of JB, IQ, QG, Julius, and RJ. Like that feels like a very good small ball lineup. I feel like you have enough defense to make that work, and there's enough passing and shooting and spacing for it to work. And I would like to see it more. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the first time we saw that lineup all year. I don't think there's any lineup bid on it, right?
I'll check. I agree. I would be surprised if we've seen it, but and I agree with you that we should see it more going forward. Because, yeah, like I said, I mean I know Mitch is like one of their most valuable players, but that could be their 5 best players.
I'm muted. Just realized I'm muted. But yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's a combination. I mean, it's like the team has developed like bad habits in these moments when the lead is crumbling due to the way that they've been coached. So like it's like a symbiotic thing where like you blame the coach, but you also blame the players, but you blame the players because of the coach, because of the way they've been coached. So it's like they go together.
Yeah, it really is symbiotic, like you said. And I just also apparently DeJounte Murray is stinker, and the Jalen Brunson better than DeJounte Murray discourse is picking up steam. It's a great night.
All right, let me pick him.
The answer is yes. By the way, he's better than Jalen Brunson. Sorry, he's better than DeJounte Murray. And anybody who literally thought that like the Knicks should have traded 2 picks and another protected first for him was snorting.
So we have
Hawkeye 420. Is the top 10 net rating stuff fraudulent? Once the shots don't fall for number 30, the ISO ball game plan isn't as effective. Once again, zero ball movement led to a close game. Is that Tibbs? Is it the players? Sam, what do you think?
That's a very interesting question, I would say. Yeah, I mean, I've always wondered like how are we still top 10 in net rating? Aren't we like top 5 in net rating?
Top 10.
We're top 10?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've always wondered like how are we top 10 in net rating, and like you watch the games and like the second, I think it's because our first halves are like so like dominant. Like I saw today like the point differential for each quarter for the Knicks, and like once it gets to, like the third and the fourth quarter, it's like totally in the negative point differential. Like the first 2 quarters are like excellent. Like they're like what like contending teams do to teams that they should be doing. But then when you get to second half, it's like holy shit. Like this is like 2017, 18, like Knicks level shit. Like it's not pretty at all. And it's just like it's a result of everything that we've been complaining about with Thibs, the way he runs things with the team, the way things flow, like all of that stuff, lineups, rotations, staggering. Like I could go on and on and on, but like all of that, it all snowballs into what we see here. But the top 10 net rating stuff, man, I don't know how it's like really like. I mean, like the team does put up numbers like offensively and defensively, they're able to hold their own. So it's like you can kind of see how it holds up, and like certain games they kind of like I think balance it out. Like some games will be crazy for the numbers where they make them jump, while some games will kind of like keep us like in that kind of regress us a little bit in the numbers, but I think it all evens out at the end of it.
I mean, to me, it makes sense because, I mean, how many games have the Knicks lost that were like blowout losses? Like the Knicks have been almost every game this year, save that Dallas game at home. You know, like, and then if you look at Basketball Reference, if you look at PyFag wins, like the Knicks are like underachieving by like 2 or 3 games this season. So like if you give the Knicks what the advanced metrics think their actual record should be, you know, they're a top 10 team in the league, like by record. So it does make sense to me. And I think when Sam said that's an interesting question, it really is an interesting question because once again, like we said at the top of the show, you have to try to contextualize why the Knicks are top 10 in net rating, but are fighting for the 6th seed, and why they regress as each quarter goes on. And I think there's something very obvious staring us in the face that we've talked about on this pod for, you know, almost 40 minutes now. And yeah.
Yeah, like they don't get blown out. They win big, and they have a good offense and a good defense. Like I think they've only had like a couple of losses by double digits, 8. And like in those games, they held. I'm pretty sure in all those games, since for like the Brooklyn game and the first Phoenix game, they've held the lead. So, yeah, like they're a good team. They just do not execute well down the stretch, and they lose a lot of games as a result.
They're bad on the margins.
Yeah,
they're awful on the margins.
That's a great way.
Yeah,
absolutely terrible. Like everything else is pretty good, but like once it gets to like the nitty gritty, like minute, like this is where like you need a coach that like really, really pays attention to details and really is like paying attention to what works for his team. That's where we fall short.
And once they like have that 2021 run where like they basically cleaned up a bunch of the details, I wouldn't be surprised if they just broke off like 8 out of 10 consistently, like because this team can absolutely do that.
Yeah, like you have a 20-point lead every freaking game, you should win 8 out of 10 sometimes. It's
but they've had a lead in 17 out of the last 18 games in the fourth quarter, and they're like now 6-6 in their last 12 games, and they have like a plus minus of like they had a plus minus of 53 before this game, and it'll probably be a plus minus of like 57 or 58. Like
now imagine if you're able to like close out these games.
Now, if they close out these games, they probably be like the 4th seed.
Yeah.
Which sucks because it's like this team should not be again fighting for the play-in. And once it clicks, man, like that's the problem. Like you can clearly see the makings of a team that just boat races everybody, and then they just like play prevent defense in the third quarter, and then it just like they let the team back in.
Yep. Yeah. That's perfect.
Oh my gosh. I just saw a comment by Hellguy for 20. He said Wally and Rebecca are celebrating.
I mean, I know that like Wally's Zerbiak is feeling himself right now, and he was right. He was right. You can say Tyrese Halliburton is. You can say like he's a good player, man, but like the overrating of Halliburton this season has been like bar none the worst.
It's all like the the type of people on Twitter and like the blog sites and stuff that are like gonna over exaggerate his.
They're saying he's top 20.
I know.
Top 20.
I saw the ringer list.
Like
Jalen Brunson was 51, by the way.
If you
for anyone
think
wondering
that Tyrese Halliburton is a top 20 player and Jalen Brunson is barely top 50.
Yeah. The Knicks would be worse if you were this season if you had replaced Halliburton with Brunson. I don't even think it's close.
100%, because straight up Halliburton is the benefit from 5-out spacing and dudes who can do stuff off the dribble without his involvement. Like he is in the perfect situation for him usage-wise. He's in the perfect situation for him team construction-wise. If you told him, "Hey, you have to make this work with Mitchell Robinson and Julius Randle prior to this season starting, and RJ Barrett spacing," like he would have folded. Like he would have absolutely folded, and you would look like clowns. Like Halliburton is a fine player in his own right, and he's a gifted passer with the ability to do things in the open court. But like in crunch time, half court offense, I don't trust him. Not in a not 5-out offense. Like Miles Turner being there is super important for his ability to pass. And not to mention the fact like they run a ton, they generate a lot of turnovers, and they're a really good fast break team. So like it's easy to get assists when you're running the court a bunch and you're jacking up threes and you're running 5-out. Like do it when the game is slowed down, and do it when you have to be able to do it in like half court settings and you need to get 2 feet in the paint. He can't do that as consistently as someone like Jalen Brunson.
Yeah.
Jeff, you want to take this comment?
Yeah. Sorry. Knicks are the only team in the league with a worse home record than road record.
Is that actually true?
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
I didn't know the Knicks have. I know that they're worse at home than at road, but the fact that they're the only team in the league, that's crazy.
Wow. I mean, maybe we should be in like this spot in the playoffs. Like start on the road, take 2 on the road.
Dude, I'm telling you,
team.
Dude, we'd end up winning in 6. Like give us the give us like the Bucks. We beat the Bucks in 6 if we beat the Bucks in 6 just because we started the first 2 games on the road.
I think I feel comfortable right now saying that I think we'd beat the Cavs in a series.
Yeah, I think we beat the Cavs. I think we beat the Bucks. Now Brooklyn and Philadelphia, no, but like I think the Cavs and the Bucks we can definitely like beat, or like at least give those guys like a 6-game series.
I think we get smoked by Boston and Brooklyn, just absolutely smoked. Like it would just be one of those never-ending ball down a hill. Every game was a friggin' onslaught. Just misery. I think we'd give Philly a fight, but I think that Philly would beat the Knicks in like 6 or 7. And I think we could beat Cleveland and Milwaukee.
Yeah, like Milwaukee is just such a weird team, man.
Mhm.
Milwaukee's a really weird team, and I don't trust Cleveland at all. I think Cleveland is. I think there's a way you can beat Cleveland, and I don't think that someone like Mobley and Allen can do enough against our forward.
I will say one thing that would terrify me about playing Cleveland, and like Sam the gambler will understand this. Everybody and their friggin' mother would line up to get behind the narrative of laughing at the Knicks for losing a playoff series to Mitchell. Like that dude's shooting 15 free throws a night in a playoff series against the Knicks.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, I think that would be a fun series to see, like, the books be heavy on the Cavs, or like not even the books, but like fans be heavy on the Cavs. Like everyone's parlays would be like Donovan Mitchell like plus 40 and the Cavs to win every game, and it would be like so funny to see the Knicks just like ruin that and just like see all these like cappers on Twitter just like losing their minds. Like, how the hell did the Cavs lose this? Like,
I mean,
it would have been great. It would be
but
great.
that would be like the perfect Knicks like point guard saga, where it's like, yeah, we passed up on Halliburton, we got somebody better. We passed up on DeJounte Murray. He's languishing in Atlanta, and they have to pay him a max. Like, oh my god, they have to pay him a max. And then like to get to the final boss of like Donovan Mitchell, and even if Donovan Mitchell has like a great series, they still win because like it's Darius Garland and Evan Mobley's first time in like a playoff setting, and they just like crap the bed. Like my heart would be full, my Twitter fingers would be heavy.
It would be God, what's the word? Like cathartic, I guess, because
Yeah.
all we've heard all season is how, like, imagine if this team had Donovan Mitchell with no nuance to it, no understanding that, like, okay, gaining Donovan Mitchell would be good, but losing the players, you're not just adding Donovan Mitchell to a 23-19 team. It doesn't really work like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all the other assets and stuff you give up for it. All right, let's get to another comment. Let's see. Ace Bouchard, good question.
Yeah, Ace says, why were we playing drop off of Buddy's pick and rolls in the fourth? I mean, I didn't see that. I know
I saw guys going like heavy, like on the over of the screen, which like looked like he was getting a lot of contact on the threes, which led to like RJ getting the foul on that 4-point play. But like Buddy was just like straight pulling off of screens, like, and like guys were just like contesting as best as they could, running to the side of him. He hit some bullshit shots. He missed some shots really badly, but he put up 31 on us, so there's that. So
I feel like the next step in Tibbs' evolution is letting Mitch switch like he does with Randall. Because Randall switched on to Buddy a few times. Like you saw Randall sliding with Buddy. I do agree that there were some times that Buddy was allowed to walk into some threes. But when it came to Randall specifically, that's what I was thinking when I was first reading the question from Ace. Is Randall definitely, got switched onto him a few times and was allowed to switch. I think that Tibbs just doesn't trust the bigs, especially Hardenstein, but not even Mitch yet, to fully switch. And so I think that's why he sticks to drop. I wish he wouldn't, but that's his scheme.
unfortunately, it is.
For better or for worse. I just like dropping on Buddy Hield makes no sense, but whatever.
All right, let's see what other comments we got. Jordan Bob says, well, he says Thibs rotations will cost us in the playoffs or play in. Definitely play in, I think, would be even more catastrophic because it's like a one game and you're out type of deal. And like we're seeing in every single game, like we are in situations every night basically where it feels like a play-in game. Like we are like it is tight down the stretch. We are like we just gave up a big lead. We are trying to win at home. Like that's what the play-in's gonna feel like. And if we can't like pull through that or push through that, like it's gonna be very rough for us, and we're gonna get eliminated and not even have a chance at the playoffs, like very easily.
Bill's
If it comes to
character.
that.
Bill's character, ice.
Wait, what?
Tom Thibodeau just like it builds character. It's fun making you blow these
Oh,
leads.
Jesus.
You know, so you know how it feels down the stretch.
Your Tibbs voice was too good. I thought you said Bill's character. I was like, who the hell is Bill? But yeah, no, it's funny that you say that actually, because I was actually going to pose that question to you guys. I was going to be like, do you think it's good that like we're going through this now, that we're learning through these brutal experiences to sort of like, on one hand, as long as it's not killing the season, playing these tight games is kind of good if you're going to make the playoffs.
It is. It's just like, are you going to learn from your mistakes that you're making now in that situation then? Because if not, then it's just like, all right, we're just like preparing ourselves to just like lose in a different way. Sadly.
Yeah, that's fair.
I just do not want a situation like I just cannot imagine this team losing twice in the play-in if they even end up there, because I don't think they're going to end up there. But like, man, if this team loses twice in the play-in, like you have to go scorched earth on the roster, like not on the roster, but like on the front office, really. Like you got to go scorched earth.
Dude, what? What are you talking about?
I mean,
you think we've reached that point? You think if they lose in the play-in, it's blowed up?
Twice. I mean, not the roster, but the front office. Yeah. Because at that point, like that's bad, man. Like the coaching has to go. Like, I think that might be like a Dolan moment. That might be a Dolan moment.
Are the expectations within the organization really that high? That would surprise me.
They want to make the playoffs.
They want to, but
I think they think they're a playoff team. And like we saw the leagues coming out early in the season when the team was losing, where there were like 37 wins is an improvement. And like, sure, if they're like 43 wins, but you lose twice in the playoffs, both games at home.
Okay, well, yeah. I mean, if you get specifically the 7 seed and then lose 2 play-in games, I agree that would be a bad look.
Yeah, but like, even if you're like the 8th seed, like it's 2 games to get 1 chance.
Yeah.
Like it would be bad, especially if you've been like a top 10 team by all metrics. And
yeah, the numbers suggest that the team should be way better than they are. So if they lose in the play-in, like that's definitely like,
because at that point it's like, okay, the numbers are telling you this, the roster is good, you have 2 all-star caliber players, you have everything this team needs to win, and you're not winning.
Yeah.
Like you would be the Cavs from last year, but the difference is the Cavs were younger and
they had a whole bunch of injuries. I mean, we've had injuries too, but like they had more like longer term injuries to their like core players, I would say.
Yeah, and then what they did was they made the Donovan Mitchell trade in order to like ensure the fact that they wouldn't be in that situation. So like, and I don't know if a trade like that's going to happen on the horizon this year. So that would definitely be, it would be rough to like take that to Dolan and be like, hey, this is our season, you know, like top 10 team until it mattered the most.
Yeah,
fair enough. I guess it just feels like a good problem to have then, because like, I mean, I think that we all had pretty tempered reservations at the start of the season, right? Like, I think if you told any of the 3 of us, you know, a couple months ago, like at the halfway point, we would be saying you better make the playoffs or people are going to get fired. Like that would surprise us. Don't you think that would have caught us off guard?
I was saying they have to make the playoffs regardless, though. I thought this team was going to be like 43 wins, 44 wins.
All right.
I did tweet it. So like,
no,
I set my expectations all the way.
I saw the round table and Sam was just like, this team is 10 seed at best.
I said 37. I said like 37 wins or some shit like that.
And I was like, you're wild. Like,
you gotta set expectations low. You can't set yourself up to be disappointed. Not with this team. Not anymore.
Like at worst, I was like,
especially after I jumped out the window for the team last year. If you saw my Strickland roundtable for last season,
you
would have thought like I was like euphoric.
Last season, I was saying 50 wins. I can't really talk.
I can't believe Tibbs let us all believe that Kemba Walker was this ginormous upgrade. Like he had us all twerking for no knees Kemba Walker.
Oh my gosh. In that week of Kemba.
Kemba Walker that just got cut from Dallas because he's actually cooked. Like their GM literally came out and said his knee is not good, and they cut him a few games later. But they gave him 32. He did give him 32 in that one game. So
He did.
Yep. He gave his whole career for that game, basically.
That was brutal by Kid. What was Kid doing? Like he was like, "Yeah, you will die for me," right now.
Literally, basically.
And they didn't even win the game. That was the worst part.
Yeah.
Like if they won the game, it would have been nice. But like now we have the same record as the Mavericks. So.
All right. So here's Chris Bernhard. He asks, or he says, then ask. Yeah. If we get Gary Trent Jr., does Grimes go to the bench? You get a guy who's a career 39% three-point shooter, but you bench your best point of attack defender. I wouldn't mind Gary Trent Jr., but 23 draft capital is a major no-no. I don't think Grimes goes to the bench. I don't think Gary Trent Jr. has that type of like rapport or like pedigree in the league to like warrant benching Grimes. Like, anyways, Gary Trent Jr. is like, he started off like getting DMPs in Portland, and he finally started to come off the bench. So I think he's gonna have to suck it up and take it. I mean, Grimes is a better defender than him. He's a better like I would say like attacking off the catch guy than him. So yeah, I mean,
That's such a good call. His attacking off the catch has been, oh my god, so good.
Yeah, it's been amazing. And defensively, I mean, he's like miles ahead of where Gary Trent Jr. is. I mean,
it's not even close. It's literally not even close.
I think it's a no-brainer that Gary Trent Jr. if he comes here, no matter who we trade for, I think they should be coming off the bench. I don't care who it is, and I think they should be able to accept it. Like, they don't have that type of pedigree in the league. You're Gary Trent Jr. Like,
I'll say two things. One, if we trade for Gary Trent Jr. and he starts over Grimes, I'm switching to what Tyrese just said, and everybody needs to be fired. That would be one of the worst decisions of all in the history of the NBA. That would just be awful. Secondly, if Tibbs isn't gonna like let Deuce play through growing pains and isn't gonna like, he's basically just gonna play him 6 minutes in games when he's struggling. Gary Trent Jr. is pretty much exactly what the Knicks need to accomplish what we've been talking about this entire pod, because you need a guard/wing that can reprieve both any of the Knicks 3 starters on nights he hasn't going. Like, you need more versatility off the bench. You need a wing/guard, and putting Gary Trent Jr. like you need like an Alec Burks. Like, as stupid as that sounds, you need an Alec Burks type of profile player, like someone who can play with Brunson, with Grimes, with RJ Barrett, on nights he has it going and one of them doesn't have it going. It will bring the minutes reprieve we very desperately need, because clearly Tibbs doesn't see that in Deuce. Even if he likes Deuce, even on nights Deuce has it going, he will only let Deuce take Brunson's minutes. He's not going to go like Brunson Deuce quickly on nights Deuce has it going. So the way to reduce the minutes of all 3 of the Knicks starting big 3 is to get a guy like Gary Trent Jr. So I like the idea. There's no way he can start over Grimes. That would be ridiculous.
So let's get into some cap minutia before I do anything. Get nerdy. So Gary Trent Jr. is a unrestricted free agent coming up this offseason. Right now he's making $18.5 million this offseason off the top of my head. So they can trade Rose for him and the cap works. I would do the deal if these parameters are met. Quickly's minutes are untouched. So that means Quickly's at least getting like 26 minutes a night, if not even more. I think by virtue of contract, you have to get Gary Trent Jr. more minutes than Quickly, which I don't agree with, but that's how the politics of the NBA works. And if you're trading for him, you want to re-sign him. Yeah, I don't think you're trading for a rental. Like, if Gary Trent Jr. is going to be traded to this team, Gary Trent Jr. is going to be in this team for like the foreseeable future. So you can't give him like.
Well, how old is he?
23.
Whoa.
Yeah, Gary Trent Jr. is young. He's younger than Obi.
Oh, wow.
And I think he's about to turn 24, but like, yeah, he's young. So like, you get him, he's essentially part of your young.
I think he's been in the league for quite some time, though.
Yeah, it was only been like
wasn't he on Portland like 10 years ago? Yeah. like I'm being sarcastic, but like 23, that blows my mind. That's crazy.
Yeah, he was on the Duke team with Marvin Bagley.
Yeah, wasn't that like? God damn it, man! We're
It
old
feels
as
like it's
shit.
forever, but like, yeah.
He was Mitch's draft class. He was the same draft class as Mitch and Brunson.
Wow.
2018, man. That draft class is generational. But like, so you're acquiring Gary Trent Jr. for the sake of acquiring Gary Trent Jr. because like
Mitch was the Knox draft,
yes,
not the Frank draft.
yes. Mitch was the Knox draft.
Yeah.
Man,
Do you remember like
I'm
Knox in the
losing
suit
my mind
and
over
then
here.
Mitch in like the
Yeah,
Jordan?
they came in together. That's why they were so close to each other.
That's why Mitch was pick number 8.
Yeah. My bad. Sorry, Tyrese.
No, you're good. You're good. So like, if you're acquiring Gary Trent Jr., you're basically saying Gary Trent Jr. is part of this team moving forward. Okay, that's fine. I'm okay with Gary Trent Jr. being on the team. And then you have to talk about like paying him. So if you're paying Gary Trent Jr., he's going to want to bump from the $18 million. I think to be in a safe spot, you might want to go at least 22. Contracts are going to get wild. Contracts are going to get very wild, and the free agency is weak, and somebody's going to pay Gary Trent Jr. If you're acquiring Gary Trent Jr., it needs to be you. I would not be surprised if a team literally just went, okay, we're going to give Gary Trent Jr. 4 years, $100 million. You laugh, but like, look at some of the contracts. Like, look at Anthony Simon's contract, dude. Look at the Lou Dort contract. Lou Dort got $580 for breathing. No, $585 for breathing. Like,
yeah, I mean, you saw my reaction on the fucking stream for
exactly
the Lou Dort contract.
Could
you imagine my reaction to the fucking Garrett Trent contract?
I mean, I think the healthy number would be a 365. So like almost 22 million per year, which isn't bad, but like, it's essentially a pay bump on Fournier.
If you're the thing is, too, Tyrese, you can't be wrong because he's either gonna get that contract or he's gonna bet on himself and take some 1-year deal.
Bingo. So like, you have to be able to like, if you're acquiring Gary Trent Jr. is your 6th man, or at the very least, he's getting like 28 minutes a night, guaranteed. Because otherwise, why are you acquiring him and why are you doing rentals if you're the Knicks? Like, you're not good enough to be doing rentals. So I'm okay with that number, like, because ultimately speaking, like, what's up?
I'm doing math in my head. So there's 144 minutes from 1 to 3. You could get quickly, and if there wasn't a psycho as our head coach, you could get quickly 25 minutes a night, Gary Trent Jr., 25 minutes a night across 1 through 3, and still get Brunson, Grimes, and RJ. What does that leave? So if they play 25 minutes a game each, Trent and quickly, that leaves like 94 minutes or something. 94 minutes. So that's like 32 minutes a night for Brunson, Grimes, and quickly, or Brunson, Grimes, and RJ. That's feasible if those are your only 5 guys who play 1 through 3.
Yeah. So like, I would be okay with that. Say like, I'm okay with acquiring Gary Trent Jr. It's just a matter of like, are you willing to pay him his next contract? Because there are like benefits to it as well. Because like $22 million is a really good number for matching salary for a max deal player, and the front office wants to acquire a star at some point. So could it be a situation where you're like, okay, we don't have to trade RJ Barrett, we could trade Gary Trent Jr. Or the flip? Could you be like, okay, we could stomach the idea of trading RJ Barrett, and now we have Gary Trent Jr. waiting in the wings just in case. Either or, but like, Gary Trent Jr. gives this team a lot of options on the court, but also off the court in terms of like team building. So I would be okay with it. I don't want to give up any 23 capital. I would give up like the 2025 Bucks pick, and I don't think they get a better pick than 2025 Bucks pick. Like, look at the Bucks now; they're old. Like, the Bucks are old. The Bucks are starting to break down. I get Giannis is good, but like, that 2025 Bucks pick might be really good, and I can see a team going like, okay, we'll give you Gary Trent Jr. Maybe you could throw in Cam Reddish like a flyer, and you take on somebody like Precious Achiuwa. I'd be actually okay with that. But like, yeah, if you're acquiring Gary Trent Jr., he's going to be on the team, and I think that's okay because like this team needs another like release valve, especially quickly.
So Tyrese, if you're the Raptors, are they just is them trading Gary Trent Jr. then basically just saying we don't think we're going to win this season, and we're definitely not re-signing him, so we just want to get something? Is that the reason they're trading him?
Can you repeat the question? Just like
why would the Raptors give up Gary Trent Jr.? Like, if you think he's worth what he's going to get in unrestricted free agency, which I don't doubt, I'm not saying he's a bad player, but if he's worth that, why are the Raptors trading him for what seems like not very much? Like, are they
suck?
Right. So you're saying they're not going to re-sign him, and
they're not. Yeah, they're not going to re-sign him because you have to think about OG's extension. You're going to be bad. Not to mention, like, Fred VanVleet, are you going to pay him? Probably not. Maybe not. Like, they can't run this team back, and realistically, they need to get like an actual lead ball handler. And Gary Trent Jr. might just be a cause of like, you know what, get value here because like you can't pay him and then get better. Like, I don't think you could run this team back 4 out of 5 of those guys and then like try to get a new ball handler. Like, you need to get some kind of asset somewhere, and Malachi Flynn is not the answer for that team. So I wouldn't be surprised if they keep free falling through the standings, they might just like trade Gary Trent Jr. and be like, let's just get an asset and try to regroup for next year.
I mean, if the Knicks traded for Gary Trent Jr. and gave up draft picks and people out of the rotation. So the rotation tomorrow was our starting lineup: Quickly, Gary Trent Jr., Obi, and Sims. With all the draft capital we'd have left over, if you had a coach who would be more democratic with his rotations and more versatile, this is a freaking team going forward.
Yeah.
Like, they'd be in a spot where they would be able to trade for a star because of the reasons you said. Like, Gary Trent Jr. is a great salary to match a star's contract. And all of a sudden, we would have a bunch of young guys who look really like promising to other teams.
Not to mention, they would still have 2 picks in this draft.
Right.
Like, so you can legitimately feel comfortable going, if there was a way where you could like know Gary Trent Jr. were signing, even if you could do that and then like be free to trade your 2023 picks, like, the team building opportunity that Gary Trent Jr. presents as a cap nerd is like really, really good. It's just a matter of like, can you satisfy Gary Trent Jr., the player, with your rotations, with your minutes? And can you sell him an idea of like, okay, you might be coming off the bench, but you might be the 6th man who starts, maybe. I don't even know if you can guarantee that because Quickly's playing so well. And if you can sell him on that, then like, you have a really good package moving forward because you can get a star and then I have to give up RJ Barrett or Quickly. Like, you can build a package around Gary Trent Jr. and like picks and all their salary for like Fournier. So, and that's because of the contracts that Brunson and Randall signed, because those guys are outperforming their contracts because you can afford a deal like this. And I don't even think they would be touching the salary, the luxury tax. Like, maybe you'd have to trade hard to a team. Oh no, but like at most it costs you like a second. So like, the team building opportunity that presents is so massive that like, I kind of just want them to do it, just for the sake of, they should probably do it because like, value wise, it's such a good value if you could get it for like the Bucks 2025 pick, because that's probably the pick that I would like most willing to give up.
Cool.
That was my.
That was really informative. Yeah, thanks for that.
All right. Let me see what other comment we have here. So Virgil X had asked, "Can Thibs be on the hot seat?" Then Hawkeye for 20 says Thibs isn't on the hot seat, which most of us probably agree with. We also probably agree that the 8-game win streak won him the rest of the year at the very least. He also says Leon Rose is also going down with the ship for Thibs, and Thibs might see the end of his contract. I mean, these are things, as soon as the 8-game win streak was occurring, I was like, yeah, this is buying Thibs the rest of the year.
He's going to get extended, dude. He's going to get extended. Like, he's going to get extended. 2 years left on his deal. 2 out of 3 years you're in the playoffs. You have a top 10 team by all metrics. And this team just gives you like a hard-fought first round, and you can still sell yourself on the idea that you're getting a star at some point. Like, he probably gets extended.
Sadly.
Because, like, even though they're blowing and stuff like that, the resume still looks good. So, And you could just attribute that 1 year where you missed the playoffs to Randall playing above his head. And then Brunson coming in, like, their team building philosophy of, like, we're just going to acquire a bunch of good players and be a good team, like, is going to save that dude's job because, like, their drafting is so good and their player scouting is so good and their development has been so good. So, for better or for worse, like, Leon Rose is literally keeping top level employed by being so good at his job, which is, like, that's like a sick irony that the front office is so good at, like, doing the parts of the job that the front office has been so bad at for 20 years that it's going to keep a coach that they probably shouldn't be keeping. Until they actually experience, like, maybe some playoff success or, like, playoff heartbreak.
I just don't get, like, how there isn't somebody who doesn't look at the lineup data and, like, see and compare it to other teams. Like, there's just no reason for all three of Brunson, Grimes, and Randall to play entire quarters. It just doesn't make sense. Like, if Grimes came out earlier in the first or the third, you start the second or the fourth with RJ and Grimes next to Quickly. Now all of a sudden you have Quickly, Grimes, RJ, and the loss of both Brunson and Randall is more mitigated. Like, that's just logical. Of course, if you just throw the bench guys out there together for minimal minutes, you're just always going to go back to the starters, and then they're eventually going to get exhausted, and that's going to be a never-ending cycle. Like, I don't know how many times I can say it. It's just incredibly frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see what other comments we got. We'll go through like about like 2 or 3 more and then get out of here. So Virgil X says, is this somewhat close games IQ's fault for going 1 for 7?
Dude, they were up 25. They were up 25.
Yeah. I wouldn't. Yeah.
1 for 7 from 3, I assume he means, because he was 3. I mean, and not that 3 for 9 is good, but hey, you know what? If he was 1 for 7 from 3 and he was 3 for 9, that means he was 2 for 2 from 2. So the long-term quickly stance.
He's going to be. I think he's shooting 50% on 2s this year, which we take the small victories.
Also, the fact that he's just taking shots still. I mean, I'm still always gonna like be happy about him just taking shots because like there was a point in the year where he wasn't taking shots and like we were all wondering what is going on with him. So you know,
yeah, that's a really great point, Sam. Like he is playing as free as we've seen him all season, and the fact that his shot attempts are staying consistent is reflective of that.
And I think just being able to, you know, I think that opportunity to play with the starters really kind of like allowed him to like gain more confidence and like actually, you know, see what works for him and see what doesn't. And, you know, he's able to take that to now leading the second unit.
Yep.
Hawkeye 420 says, like, is this the worst W of the season so far? What a wild thing to say.
Yeah.
I mean, judging by our tone tonight, I would say that it is. I mean, I'm happy we won because, you know, I'm always going to be happy that we win. But, like, again, like I said for the last game, it's all about the process in which you're, like, winning or losing games. Process in which we won this game was very ugly. I mean, once we got up 20, the fact that I'm thinking in my head, oh, my gosh, we're going to blow this in the second quarter is a problem because it's something that we've done before.
So, first of all, Sam, there are 2 losses that specifically for you and your agenda were worse. And that is the Philly game where if they lost that game, Tibbs is fired. And the Cleveland game. Like, there were 2 games where Tibbs' job was on the brink. And we won both of those games. So those are probably worse wins. And we beat Charlotte in overtime at home the fourth game of the season. That's a pretty bad win.
Oh yeah, that game was ugly because we were like, Charlotte was hitting like nonsense, and it was like
revenge,
and it was like it was Dennis Smith Jr.'s revenge game. Like it was like the third unit of the Charlotte Hornets just like playing because like LaMelo wasn't there, Terry Rozier wasn't there, and like that's basically their team at this point because they don't have Miles Bridges. Like it was like the Charlotte Hornets skeleton squad versus the Knicks, and they were giving us a run for our money. Yeah, we've had some ugly wins this year. But I think today
the Spurs one too. That's just the last one I want to say. The Spurs game.
This past week, right?
Yeah.
where Jalen Brunson dropped 38. The
Yeah,
fact that he had to drop 38 to like
and there were like 3 clutch buckets too that night. Dude, that game is filthy. Like, to describe this win, let me pose something. You are going out on a date. It's a beautiful time. Like, you had a great night. Like, like you guys really clicked emotionally speaking, and like everybody enjoyed it. And like you went home, you told your boys, and it was great. And you text her, great night, thinking about you already, wish I could see you again, and she leaves you in red. This is how that night feels. Where it's like, you know what, you had a good night, you won, like you enjoyed yourself, but now you just end up heartbroken at the end of the day because like it could have been so much more. Like you plan out your future, timeshares, like you were going on vacation with her soon, you picked up the ring, and you just are heartbroken. Even though you had a good night, you're just heartbroken, and this is how it feels winning against the Pacers.
after being up 25 and only winning by 6.
Yes.
Tyrese, that was a very specific example. Has that like happened to you? Like, are you okay, bud?
Or a friend. Is that between you or a friend?
I don't want to talk about it.
But yeah, I mean, I guess you can say this is one of the worst wins of the season. I would say. I mean, in terms of like process. I mean, to have a 25-point lead and to like not be relaxing in the fourth quarter. I mean, we should be here talking about like how we like what we were doing during the fourth quarter. Like that wasn't watching the game. Like I could have been like, hey, I was watching Lost during the fourth quarter because we were up by like 40. No, I had to sit on the edge of my bed, like intently paying attention after I just took 3 different types of drugs just to keep me from coughing. Like I shouldn't have to like the Knicks. The Knicks. What can you say? But we're happy we won. We're just, disappointed in the way that we won. Because it could have very easily been a loss. I mean, there was a point in the fourth quarter where we had a turnover. We make the gap where it's 110 to 103. We give up a turnover. Buddy Hield goes down, gets the layup, and it's like, holy shit, we could still lose this game. And that's like that's not what should happen against the Pacers without Halliburton and Turner on the court. Like,
Yeah,
but we won.
You're exactly right.
But we won. So, on to the next one. I guess we can briefly talk about the next game before we, head out of here. Next game is
is it almost the All-Star break, Sam? Like, Jesus.
I hope so. I hope so. Next game though is Friday versus the Wizards. I feel like every Friday night Knicks game is on the road, weirdly enough, which is
And against the Wizards. I feel like we always play the Wizards on a Friday.
yeah. And the Wizards, they just like Kyle Kuzma just hit some like fadeaway 3 to like win the game versus the Bulls today. And I remember last season when we played them, we played the Wizards on a Friday night, but it was in MSG, and we had a lead, and we blew it because, and I think we lost the game or we almost lost it, but like Kyle Kuzma was like hitting like some BS shots,
per usual.
But yeah, I mean that's what I'm expecting from this game. It's a Friday night. It's Friday night Knicks. There's gonna be some BS. Kyle Kuzma is definitely gonna hit some BS versus us, or he's gonna get a triple double. Like, it's one or the other. It's either he gets a bullshit threes or triple double. But yeah, I mean versus the Wizards, they've picked things up as of late. Bradley Beal's out. He's been consistently injured. Porzingis is gonna be out. Gafford's most likely gonna be out. So
Porzingis gonna be out?
It says out here on the injury report, but that can probably change before Friday. But as of now, he is on the injury report. But yeah, I mean, expecting to see Kuzma, expecting him to hit some nonsense versus us.
I like how we have to just like mentally prepare for that, for teams to just hit these ridiculous shots.
Yeah.
Can't
but
wait.
yeah. I mean, Taj Gibson was starting for them today. that's their center. That's what it's come to for their centers now because both Gafford and Porzingis are out.
Once the Nick goes
Is
in,
Beal gonna still be out? Is he out
yeah,
long term? Or
Yeah, he's out
yeah.
long. He's out quite long term for the foreseeable future.
So
So
typical Beal.
he won't play this game. But yeah, I mean Kuzma's the one guy like that's it really. I mean Will Barton has that tendency where he can like go off. Um, Delon Wright's been a steady hand for them. So, those are the three guys that I'm looking out for. There's always the white shooter, Corey Kispert, that, we just had Joe Ingles and Pat Connaughton light us up. So, you might want to keep an eye on Corey Kispert. Big 6'7" white guy. Can't miss him. Hopefully the Knicks, thankfully there's no Fournier on the court to, run away and leave him wide open. Did you guys see that play where he left Pat Connaughton like butt naked wide open in the corner? And he like ran back.
Yeah, but we talked about it. Like, yeah, he executed what he was supposed to do terribly there, but he shouldn't be asked to go to the paint in the first place. Like, that's an unnecessary. If Giannis gets by Randall,
what is Fournier doing?
Evan Fournier is going to do anything in the paint? Like, I don't understand what is even the point of him touching the paint there. There's nothing. It's useless. Hug him to the 3-point line and take your chances with Randall. Like, or send the help from somewhere else. That is just a ridiculous dig. And it was just, it's like, yeah, Fournier looked really stupid. And, like, he executed really bad. But the whole principle is really bad.
Yeah. But yeah, I think Knicks game plan this game, especially if both Porzingis and Gafford are going to be out, dominate down low. It's Taj Gibson. Respect for Taj Gibson for his Knicks stint, his great Knicks stint. He should have the number 67 retired. Should be in the rafters.
Preach.
But it's Denny Advia and Taj Gibson. We should be killing them in the paint.
Did you see Denny's line tonight?
Rebounds
20 rebounds.
Because Vucevic is the softest center in the fucking world.
Listen, man, the IDF mound of rebound don't play, okay?
He's going against Nikola Vucevic. Like, come on. That's nobody.
Man, he's going to give Mitchell Robinson a pro. Denny Avdia go hoop like his life depended on it.
All right.
Like, Taj Gibson going to turn back the hands of time and turn 27 again. You can get a post.
Anyways.
Be real, Tyrese. You know who he's actually going to give the business to. He's going to give the business to Randall because Randall won't box out ever. He'll just stand there away from rebounds, and Denny will snake in over and over again.
Dude, Taj Gibson's going to get like one mean put back over Randall and like smile at him walking up the court. Or like he's going to have a three and do the thing. And I swear all of us are going to do it too because it's Taj Gibson.
But yeah. I mean, it's Kuzma, it's Advia, it's Taj Gibson, it's Rui Hachimura. We should be able to handle things in the paint. I think the game plan should be to go at the paint. Like, what are they going to do? They can't really stop us.
Taj Gibson, 5 blocks, 2 steals.
I don't need Julius Randle being 3-point happy like he was versus the who was it that he was very 3-point happy against? I can't even remember now.
The Bucks?
Yes, versus the Bucks. So like versus the Wizards, please go to the paint at all costs.
Also, question: if you see Taj versus Hartenstein, do you think Tibbs requests the trade immediately?
I don't even want to think about that.
I can legitimately see Taj Gibson giving Hartenstein the business for like 3 minutes, like a 3-minute stretch, and then Tibbs just going, "All right, Leon, make the trade."
I mean, we all need someone in our lives who loves us the way Tibbs loves Taj Gibson.
Indeed.
Just like for the vibes.
I'll tell you one thing I'm kind of worried about is Rui versus Obi. Like, Rui's been low-key good recently. Like, actually good. Not fake good. Actually good. And I don't know. I could see Obi having a quick hook if Rui kind of gets going off the bench.
Oh, for sure. Oh my gosh. You think Randall's gonna match Kuzma? Not Randall. You think Tibbs is gonna match Randall and Kuzma's minutes?
Yeah,
I could see that.
I could see that. I wonder who Grimes guards. I could see that maybe.
It's a really interesting. Like, I'm now looking forward to the games when Grimes isn't matching, like, because every time we play a guard who's a star, Grimes is just going to match his minutes, and that fucks up our like the rotations because Grimes is just always playing like he's not able to play shorter multiple short shifts. A game like this Washington game should allow Grimes to come out at the 5-4 minute mark of the first quarter and then come in and play with the bench in the second quarter. Like that's a rotation you really want to see. It's not only good for the team, but it's good for Grimes because it's not fair for Grimes to play all of his minutes versus the starters. He was going to play, if he didn't come back in, he was going to play 29 minutes tonight. And like 100% of them were going to be against opposing starters. And he was going to put up a good line. Let him cook a little bit with the second unit. Let him, God, it's not hard to just rotate.
Yeah, but that's our coach.
Hopefully Washington doesn't throw a trapping defense at us so we don't look lost again.
Yeah, I mean, the secret's out. Because isn't that how we lost to Chicago? Didn't Grimes do something stupid against a trap? Or was that the Indy game that we won?
It was the Indy game that we won.
Yeah, okay.
Where like Grimes was trying to
Indy loves trapping.
Yeah.
Oh, Grimes missed 2 free throws against Chicago. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Don't remind me.
Yeah.
Don't remind me.
But yeah, hopefully they don't employ a trapping defense or a zone defense because then we'll absolutely be screwed. Because this team just looks like a deer in headlights versus those type of defenses. But we'll see. We'll see. My cough has finally subsided as we are about to end. Wow, insane timing.
Yeah, you sound great.
Yeah. But yeah, we're gonna end off things here. Knicks win, even though it didn't sound like the Knicks won from us for most of the night. Hopefully they win on Wednesday. Not Wednesday. Today is Wednesday. Hopefully they win on Friday in a way more convincing and comfortable fashion. Once again, it's all about the process over here, at least with me, and I think with Jeff and Tyrese as well. But yeah, I think it's all about the process. It's how you win these games. It's not that the fact that they won. We'll be back on Friday after the Wizards game. Friday night Knicks on the road at Washington. Check out everything Stricken related in the comments, in the description. I mean, losing my mind here. Everything Stricken related. We got links to the site, Twitter, merch, Patreon, all great ways to support us. We're also on Instagram at thestrick.land. Give us a follow. Leave a like and subscribe. We are on our way to 1K subs. So all that you do definitely helps us with all the algorithm mumbo jumbo. You know how YouTube is these days. It's very complicated and very complex. So, leaving a like and subscribing will definitely help us out a ton. And we'll catch you guys on Friday. Peace out.